Well, good afternoon.
Good
Mr.
afternoon.
Brennan,
Present.
Mr. Rickman,
Here.
Mr. McDowell,
Present.
Mr. Duval.
Present.
Here.
Here.
Mr. Davis, Mayor Benjamin.
Present. Thank you, ma'am. Reverend
Thank you.
McDowell,
You're welcome.
you bless us with a word, please.
Yes. Oh Lord, for all that you've done for us, each one of us, you've allowed us to assemble today, to get up this morning, to go about various tasks of responsibility. And because of that, we give you thanks. We give you thanks for this city of ours that continues to shroud itself in expanding the vision and mission of the city. We also understand that as COVID testing continue to rise, we pray your blessings upon each family that has been affected because of this virus. And in the midst of our celebrating, let us not forget that Jesus is the reason for the season, and that in his providential care, he's able to shelter us from all hurt, harm, or danger. We ask it in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Rev. Thank you.
Yes.
Madam City Manager, any changes to the agenda proposed?
No, sir.
Yes, there is.
Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies.
Thank you.
Duval?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we add item number 28 for executive session, discussion of matters relating to proposed location or expansion of services to encourage location or expansion of industries or other businesses pursuant to SC Code 30-4-70A2, absolute total care.
All right.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry,
With
man.
the one amendment, any others? Seeing none, is there a motion we approve the agenda, adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Agenda.
Moving seconding discussion. Move the previous question, clerk call the roll.
Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Mr. Vines,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye. Thank you very much. All right. Is there a motion for approval of minutes of the November 10th and November 17th, 2020 City Council meetings?
So moved.
Second.
Moving second in discussion. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for getting this done so promptly. Move the previous question, clerk call the roll.
You are welcome, sir. Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Mr. Vine,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye. Thank you. Did you want to point a personal privilege now, Ms. Wilson?
Yes, sir, Mayor Benjamin. Thank you. We always historically recognize Arbor Day, and this year was no different. It was just that due to COVID-19, we had to take a different approach, of course. And so the Forestry and Beautification Division continued its strong tradition of celebrating Arbor Day this year on December the 4th of 2020. Normally, the division runs an Arbor Day program at a local elementary school. Nevertheless, that was not an option this year, as we stated, due to COVID-19. Instead, the division took to social media and put out an Arbor Day video special thanks to our public relations department. And the video focused on the importance of trees to the city of Columbia and how to properly plant a tree yourself. This year, we also partnered with Columbia Green on planting a tree in honor of one of their past presidents, and Councilman Duval attended this planting ceremony. So this year, the division continued to strive for excellence for our managing of our tree canopy by pruning nearly 950 trees, removal of 370 diseased or dying trees, and planting 500 new trees this year in the right-of-way. The division will be applying, as we always do, again for its 42nd year as a Tree City USA, which is the longest running streak in South Carolina. And so Mayor Benjamin and council, we wanted to acknowledge Arbor Day.
No. Well, thank you so much. And saw some of our fantastic folks over at Public Works yesterday. And we had a chance to recognize Mr. Davis. I really want to thank council again and our total staff for just recognizing the amazing men and women who make the city run every single day, Arbor Day, and every day for 50 years, people like Mr. Davis. And so thank all of you.
Yes,
thank you for that moment. Teresa.
Thank you for doing that, Mayor Benjamin and council. I heard Mr. Davis was just about brought to tears, so that meant very much to him. With that, we will continue the city council discussion and action with our normal situational report and update. Mayor Benjamin, if you have any comments, that would be great. If not, we'll move forward with Mr. Tinsley.
It's really thankful for the efforts we're seeing in both the private and public and philanthropic sectors with the vaccines, seeing emergency approval and literally being delivered and administered as we speak. We have an amazing opportunity before us to actually achieve true herd immunity. If we can encourage our citizens to get over 70% of us immunized over time, it's going to take an extraordinary effort, unlike anything we've seen in modern history. So we want to pledge. I have a meeting with Dr. Bell, our state epidemiologist, who's chairing the vaccine task force this week, asking for anything and everything that we can do as local policy makers. We've led from the front over these many months. We'll continue to do so, but to accelerate those efforts, we're going to have to step up even more. And in the meantime, as we're doing today, we need to encourage people to wear their masks, to physically distance, to do their very best to COVID fatigue and sanitize. And it's wonderful being able to see that there's truly an end in sight, but it's going to take an extraordinary effort and collective responsibility, mutual responsibility for us to get there. And if we do it, and we do it right, we can indeed save lives. So this is our plaintive plea to all of those within the sound of our voice and those in the state of Columbia. Let's get this done. I'm encouraged we can. And Teresa, I want to thank you and your entire team for not only for what you've done, but how you've done it over these last several months. Organizationally, we've been run very efficiently, and we've been run with a heart, compassionate approach to the way in which we deal with our citizens and to the men and women who serve them every single day. So I'll yield the floor to Director Tinsley.
Thank you, Mayor.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you, Terry.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Madam City Manager. Again, thank you for your time. There's additional information in your inbox on today's numbers that we'll report out. Actually, they just posted through DX website. So, U.S. there are over 16.5 million confirmed cases. Unfortunately, we're over 300,000 deaths now to COVID-19. Here in South Carolina, our case count stands at 239,119 as of yesterday's reporting. There have been, to date, which has been pretty aggressive, there have been over 3.1 million tests to date in our state. Yesterday's case count reports an additional 2,303. That's a 19.9% positivity rate. Unfortunately, there were 4 new confirmed deaths reported yesterday, bringing our confirmed death total to 4,402. As far as in Richland County, our case count stands at, as of today, 21,178. We had an additional 110 new cases as of yesterday. Over the last 14-day reporting cycle from November 30th through December 13th, Richland County has had 2,277 new cases. We're averaging now about 160 new cases each day. That's up from the 70 to 90 we were experiencing. And unfortunately, we're reporting out 296 confirmed deaths in our county. As far as the highest zip code case counts over the 14-day reporting period, we are still seeing between 200 and 250 cases reporting for those zip codes. On average, 29203, 29209, 29210, 29223, and 29229. So as of the December 9th report out, 45 of the 46 counties in our state have a high recent disease activity incidence rate. And over that period, Richland County remains at high with 447.9 per 100,000. We are at a 12.9% positivity rate. If you look at all the other counties, that is significantly lower than some of the other counties that are reporting higher case counts based on population. As of December 12th, also the reporting sample shows the recovery rate estimated at about 87.7%. That's down slightly from the 91.3 at our last reporting. Our state case fatality rate is estimated at 1.92%. That's down slightly from 2.08. So statewide, there have been over 15,000 new cases of COVID-19 in the past week. So we are averaging about 2,200 new cases each day, with the state average positivity rate overall of 14.9%. So our hospitalizations remain high. There still remains sufficient bed space available. The bed utilization rate as of today is 77%. The ICU bed rate is 76%. Currently, there are 1,367 patients currently hospitalized COVID-19. 331 of those are in ICU and 129 are on ventilators. So DHEC, as of yesterday's reporting, and everybody saw the vaccine is being rolled out from the Pfizer vaccine, one of the first ones to get emergency use authorization. They're starting to process and receiving first allocations of that vaccine from Pfizer, with nearly 43,000 doses are anticipated by tomorrow. And the vaccines will be, as we communicated, administered in a phased approach as recommended by the CDC and states' COVID-19 vaccine advisory committee. And it'll initially start with phase 1A, which will be those persons that are considered mission critical workers performing direct medical care to suspected and or confirmed COVID-19 patients. And there's a list of bulleted workers or mission critical workers that will fall into that category as additional supplies come into place. So as we see that roll out in the coming weeks and months, it'll be very, very promising. So that concludes my report. Thank you for your time.
Harry, can you tell us what the recovery rate is? All the documents that we're getting does not talk about that. Can you give us what the number is right now on recovery?
Yeah, as of the December 12th reporting sample, and that's a rolling sample that DHEC takes, it's at 87.7%.
Okay, and then the other thing that would be great for us was when y'all send out the information, it talks about the total ICU beds, but COVID patients ICU only about 20% of the bed utilization, not
Breaking up, Daniel. You're breaking up.
I was just, it'd be good to know, we show bed utilization, but COVID-related bed utilization is only about 20%, not 76%. So I just want to make sure that we're providing numbers to everybody that they realize what it is, that we do have plenty of beds if needed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The COVID admission volume is up all across Prisma and Lexington medical systems. Just this past week, they were up more than double from the week before that. We're not as bad as July, but it's important to note that the volume jump that we're seeing is because of COVID, not because of other things. It's important to continue to sound the alarms that this pandemic is the greatest one we've seen in a generation, if not a century. So, I mean, we want to make sure we pay attention to certain things, but COVID is driving the challenges that our hospitals are seeing. I got that directly from each of our hospital CEOs.
I'm just looking at the numbers. People are always asking me, are we monitoring the ICU beds? And, you look at this, if you don't really dig through it, it makes it seem like COVID is taking up a few beds. I want to make people realize that we're monitoring.
The admissions volume is up significantly because of COVID, and it's important to note that and continue to cite that. People, we cannot take our foot off the gas. We cannot pretend this thing is decelerating. It is accelerating rapidly, and we need to keep on telling people that, or else we'll never get arms around this. Ms. Devine?
Yes, sir. I have two questions. The first one might be more for Director Tinsley, and the second one is for you, Mr. Mayor. The first one, Harry, if you could tell us, I know, follow up to Daniel's question about the ICU bed bed utilization. Back in the day, there were numbers that we never hit, but I still keep those in mind. Like we never got below the 10%. But I used to hear that once we got to about 80% of hospital bed utilization, there was going to be an issue. And so right now, being around the 70 something, I'm just wondering, is that still a number? 80% is still a number where there needs to be concern, and whether or not there's a plan for that. I'm sorry, then there's three questions. The second one is mentioning about the recovery rate. You said it's 70 something percent, or 87, used to be 90. So I'm just wondering, what I always hear is that the treatments are better now, but that seems to be going down. So I was just wondering if there was an issue there. And then my last question, Mr. Mayor, for you is, I think that now that the vaccine is here, knowing it's going to be all hands on deck to get it out, but primarily in communities of color, and the level of distrust that people have in taking the vaccine. Just wondering, as far as our participation in that, how do you see our participation in that? And will we have, you taking the vaccine publicly, or how are we going to specifically get in the communities of color to make sure that we are getting vaccinated? Because I definitely think that we have led from the front, but this is probably going to be a monumental task that we've got to think through and make sure that it gets out there. So those are my three questions.
Sure.
Okay,
go ahead, Harry.
I was going to take the one on the percent bed utilization. To keep in mind that the bed utilization has been, if you look at the reporting that we've been watching, is lower 70s to mid 70s to upper 70s. As it gets to 80, as I understand it, there are discussions, State Hospital Association, hospitals, DHEC, they have discussions on, staffing and making sure that they have the capacity. I will say that there's discussion that is a threshold to enter into the discussion, but the bed utilization rate is also other surgeries and hospitalizations that are, some of the ones that were canceled back in the summer to make sure we had space. So it is my understanding that they've not gotten to that level yet, but there is concern as you see the number of hospitalizations due to COVID, and that number has hovered around 10. It's gone up significantly. If you look at the total, we're I think today's reporting, we're at over almost 14, a little 14% of those. That's maybe almost 15%. So
And Harry,
to answer your question,
Harry,
yeah.
just to add to your point and to further clarify that, our understanding too, just on what we discussed before and your contacts, is that a trigger that we would probably know publicly is the discontinuation of elective surgeries. That would
correct.
give us some indication that we're heading to that being an issue at the 80%. So they would probably do that, Ms. Devine, close to the 80% before they would, I think that would give us an indication that there's some issues.
Yeah, that was my concern and understanding that there is an impact, but it's not that significant, so not a big deal yet.
I will.
Mayor,
Yeah, please, Mr. McDowell.
yes, Director Tinsley, I don't want to, I'm sorry. I certainly don't want to be redundant in any way. there has been a lot of conversation about, of course, if masks are working, if they are doable enough to help with the virus. Say a word to us, Harry, about, I think it's very important that we do the importance of wearing a mask.
I think we continue to follow the CDC guidance and the DHEC guidance, which is encouraging face coverings and the social distancing. I think a lot of those things have helped us. If you'll notice, some of the numbers in Richland County are not as bad as some of the other parts in our state. So I think that is a mitigation or a preventive strategy that we're going to be in until we really get deeper into what I would say phase 3 of the vaccine, where it's more widespread, and that would come later in 2020, probably 2021. But we'll have to see what their recommendations are.
Yeah, Harry, thank you for that. I think the importance of wearing a mask, of course, and the vaccination, that in itself does not eliminate mask wearing. Is that correct?
That is my understanding. Yes, sir, that's correct.
All right, thank you.
It's important that we continue to strongly encourage mask wearing, as we plan to do this meeting. Back to the question, Ms. Devine, I've had some informal discussions, and as I mentioned, we'll have a more formal one with Dr. Bell about the role that we all can play in modeling the importance that the importance of taking the vaccine. Just as we've done with the flu in the past and did last month, I'm happy to set up, at the appropriate time. Obviously, we want to make sure that those who are level 1 or tier 1 and tier 1A, people who need the vaccine, get it first. But I think we line up with policymakers everywhere in being willing to, in a very public way, receive the vaccine. That might encourage others to do so. Just got a note back from the CEO of Lexington Medical as well, who says they are also nearing their July high of inpatients due to COVID as well. And I hate to sound stressed, because obviously I'm optimistic about where we could potentially be, but a number of the statistics, even that you referenced, Councilwoman Devine, were statistics that in standards that we were relying on, if in fact we followed the science and as a country and prepared ourselves for the pandemic, and we would be able to see hopefully deceleration in infection rates. The country did not do that. We did not have the leadership at the national level pushing for the right policy decisions. We didn't have the state level. We did on the local level in a number of different ways. And as a result, we've seen some of our expectations skewed rather significantly. We saw arguments made that this was no different than the seasonal flu. The seasonal flu last year killed 22,000 people. We are now over 300,000 deaths in less than a year because of COVID-19. This is real. And I think it's so important that we continue to press until we indeed make it to the other side of the mountain and push back on any efforts to discourage otherwise. So I will do, and I know many of you will do what is asked as it relates to the vaccine. But hopefully we will have a very formal role at the request of the governor and this administration, or maybe the next presidential administration, when asked to do our part in encouraging the vaccine to be taken by citizens. I think there's a great article, maybe someone in the Post and Courier did one today, on what we might be asked to do, similar to what we did early on regarding our masking efforts and other efforts, maybe a bit of a PR campaign. So we're all in. Any other questions for Harry? All right. Thank you. But we got the ordinance authorization up next, Teresa.
Yes, sir, Mayor. And this emergency ordinance would extend the suspension of normal operations and the mask wearing through February 13th of 2021, Mayor.
Is there a motion?
I'll move.
Second.
Second. Thank you again, Director Tinsley and the whole team. And again, Ms. Wilson, if there's no discussion, we'll move the previous question. The clerk call the roll.
Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
We lose
Yes.
Eric.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Mr. Vine,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye. Thank you, ma'am.
At this time, Mayor Benjamin, we would ask council's consideration of the consent agenda items 4 through 14.
All right, is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move the previous question. The clerk call the roll.
Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Mr. Vine,
Sorry, aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
The zoning planning matter for second reading is the zoning text amendment number 15 to amend section 17-253 design development city center design development guidelines to delete section 3.54 site plan review.
Mr. Rickman, is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? No, second. All right, we'll move the previous question. Clerk call, I'm sorry, discussion. We'll move the previous question. Clerk call the roll.
Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Mr. Vine,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
Ordinance is second reading, item 16, ordinance number 2020-107, consenting to the inclusion of property in a multi-county industrial business park, the Gable Oaks Affordable Housing Project at 5530 Randall Avenue and 901 Colleton Street in Richland County. And Mayor Benjamin and Council, as you would give this a second reading, we are still awaiting County Council's review for a third reading. And of course, it's contingent upon their third reading.
Absolutely. Thank you. Let's get a motion first before we get discussion. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
The second? Second discussion. Duval.
Mr. Mayor, last time when we discussed this thing, there was a pending amendment at the county level that needed to be included. If we give it a second reading, will we have that amendment in it?
I think it is already included, Mr. Duval.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're awaiting third reading after they had already included those items addressing safety and a couple of other issues. But from my understanding from the staff, this version is the county's version.
Okay.
Is that your understanding, Mr. Davis?
That's my understanding, yes.
Move the previous question.
All right. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Mr. Vine,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye. Thank you, ma'am.
Item 17, ordinances first reading, ordinance number 2020-108, consenting to the inclusion of property in a multi-county industrial business park for Project Cross in Richland County.
Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Is there a second? I'll second the motion.
Second.
Is there discussion? Seeing none, move the previous question. The clerk call roll.
Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Mr. Vine,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye. Thank you.
Moving into a period of resolutions, item 18 is resolution number R 2020-078, authorizing the city manager to execute an amended and reinstated agreement concerning electrical service rights between Fairfield Electric Cooperative, Tri-County Electric Cooperative, and
Motion.
Mid-Carolina
So
Electric.
move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Move the previous question, the clerk call the roll.
Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Mr. Vine,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
Item 19, resolution number R 2020-105, authorizing the city manager to execute a management services agreement between the City of Columbia and Executive Management and Leasing, Inc. for the property located at 1401 Main Street.
Move approval.
Second. Any discussion? We'll move the previous question, the clerk call the roll.
Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Mr. Vine,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
At this time, Mayor Benjamin, we would ask for you to open a public hearing for item 20, which is the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report for July 1st, 2019, ending June 30th, 2020, and to approve submission of the CAPER report along with all citizens' comments received during the 10-day comment period to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development prior to December 29th, 2020, as requested by the Community Development Department.
Thank you. And we'll declare this public hearing open. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone here to speak on the CAPER?
Not that I'm aware of. We do have callers on the line. If you are on the line and would like to comment on the CAPER, please do so by pressing *3 to be added to the speaker queue.
Only if you have comments on the CAPER. There will be opportunities for citizen input on other items later in the agenda.
And I certainly wanted to ask if Saeed had any comments or anything to present to council. I figured she did. Very brief PowerPoint, I'm thinking, Mr. Mayor.
Yes. Madam City Manager Wilson, thank you for the opportunity to present to council today. I do have a brief presentation. Are you all able to see the PowerPoint at this point?
We
Yes.
do.
Yes.
All right.
Not
I
now.
can't-
Oh, it's moved now?
It's back. It's back.
Okay, great. All right. Just 1 second here. So we had quite a busy year in spite of some of the things that we've had to deal with as a result to COVID. But in accordance with the federal regulations, 24 CFR Part 91, the City of Columbia is preparing a draft consolidated annual performance and evaluation report, which is called the CAPER for fiscal year 2019 through June 30, 2020. The consolidated annual performance and evaluation report is an end of the year requirement for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And the purpose of the CAPER is to provide an overall evaluation of federally funded activities and accomplishments to HUD and the community. The performance report is prepared with public review and comment for fiscal year 2019-2020 CAPER and is submitted electronically to HUD via the Integrated Disbursement and Information System, which we also refer to as IDIS, and it has to be submitted prior to December 31st, 2020. A waiver of the regulatory requirement at 24 CFR 91.520A that within 90 days of the end of the jurisdiction program year, a grantee shall submit to HUD a performance report known as the CAPER. The CAPER is associated with several CPD grant programs. For the program year 2019 CAPER, the requirement that grantees submit a performance report within 19 days after the close of a jurisdiction's program year is waived. It's typically due at the end of September, but we did receive a 90-day waiver this year. So in addition, the waiver clarifies that the grantee may amend the citizen's participation plan to establish expedited procedures to draft, propose, or amend consolidated plans. Expedited procedures must include notice and reasonable opportunity to comment of no less than 5 days. In-person public hearings are not required. Grantees may meet public hearing requirements with virtual public hearings. 1, the national local health authorities recommend that social distancing and limiting public gatherings for public health reasons. And 2, virtual hearings provide reasonable notification and access for citizens in accordance with grantees' certifications, timely responses from local officials to all citizens' questions and issues, and public access to all questions and responses. During our citizen participation process, citizens have the opportunity to comment on performance of 3 entitlement programs: Community Development Block Grant, known as CDBG, Home Investment Partnership, known as HOME, and Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS, known as HOPWA. The citizens participation process, which includes at least a 5-day comment period, began on November 4th, 2020, and will conclude on December 15th, 2020 at midnight. In compliance with the city's participation plan, a virtual public hearing will be held to solicit public comments. So we do have our program CAPER report in draft. It is on our website for citizens to review. And we do encourage them to look at that report before it's submitted and provide any comments. I do have a brief presentation for you. I want to go over that with you now. And you all do see the first page. You don't see the sidebars or anything like that, correct?
Right.
Okay.
No,
All right.
we see the side
See
part.
two-
You mean the next
Oh, you
slide?
do?
Now you see it, yeah.
Okay, now you see a full page.
See a full page, the one that we see the page titled CAPER Purpose and Process, and we also
Very
see
good.
the slide queued up, sources of funding.
Very good. Thank you. So again, the CAPER purpose and process is to provide an overall evaluation of federally funded activities. We want to report to HUD and the community. We're required to do so based on 24 CFR Part 91, and also provide citizen participation opportunities. We want them to be sure to, review and comment on the progress that we're making in spending the federal dollars that the city receives on an annual basis. So here's a brief overview of our sources of fundings, revenues, and expenditures. As you can see, during fiscal year 2019, in CDBG dollars, the revenue was $1,812,493, and we were able to expend $958,118 by June 30 of 2020. For our home dollars, the revenue was $813,486, and we were able to expend $750,325. And for our HOPWA program, the revenue was $1,475,403, and we were able to expend $1,277,166. Our leveraging impact is we were able to expend a total of $2,985,609 and leverage $7,900,449. Our community development 2019 accomplishments include the following. We assisted 9 neighborhoods $7,086 was awarded directly to neighborhoods through the city's Action Grant program. We served 106 water and sewer customers in financial need through the Deborah Christie Customer Service Assistant Program that we also call the DCCA, formerly the Change Up Program, $25,382. We also assisted 17 participants who completed the IDA account, or our individual savings account program, with over $75,000 in grant matching awards. We were able to assist 15 participants through post-secondary education and 2 through entrepreneurial endeavors. We also were able to assist the public through our various programs such as Bank Gone and Fresh Start program. We had 65 participants. Through our Columbia Kids Save, we enrolled 5 new students, and we have a total of 19 students enrolled as of June 30, 2020. And also we closed 18 homeownership loans, leveraging the city's $943,988 with over $1.6 million in loans from our partner banks. Here is a snapshot of the loans that we funded. We provided 4 home loans through our affordable housing program, 6 city lender, 1 uplift loans through funded through home and CDBG. Through city lender with our general fund dollars, we funded 7 loans. We did 1 employee loan through our general fund dollars, and totaling 18 for the year. And as you can see, again, the city's contribution, $943,998 was funded, and we did leverage $1.6 million with a total of $2.6 million for the year that was financed. Also, we are showing the events that the City of Community Development participated in during the past fiscal year. We provided 4 homebuyer seminars, 1 promotional event, and 5 financial literacy series. Unfortunately, due to COVID, which hit around March, where we were mandated to work in place, we were not able to get all of the programs out that we typically do. The springtime of the year is usually our busiest time of the year. During April, when it's CD Week, Financial Literacy Month, Fair Housing Month, and then in June, when it's Home Ownership Month, we were not able to get a lot of our programs done. So we hope that will change next year so that we can continue to meet those people who enjoy our services and have various needs for us to meet. In terms of our CDBG public service activities, we funded Mercy. They were able to assist 15 youth who were at risk of homelessness with our CDBG funding. Also, Fast Forward was able to assist 66 participants in preparing them for job search opportunities. And also, they always exceed, the number of people that they expected to serve. With the Homeless No More shelter, they were able to assist 186 citizens and they provide emergency shelter with the dollars that we provide to them. And also through the United Ways Adults Dental and Eye Care Clinic, they were able to serve over 900 adults through the public services funding that they received from the city. In regards to our CDBG public facilities activities, the City of Columbia Parks and Recreation Department were awarded $476,063 for upgrades to the Fairwall Park, Lord Park, and E.B. Sessions Park. Those parks received playground equipment and site amenities, as well as recycling receptacles at those locations. In regards to our HOPWA accomplishments, And there were 149 households who received short-term rent, mortgage, and utility assistance. 850 people were served through their supportive services. There were 58 people who received rental subsidies through the tenant-based rental program. And also, the HOPWA program leveraged $5,399,851 in community support. So that is a snapshot of what the funding awards were made to organizations over the past year. Again, that report is posted on the City of Columbia's Community Development website for those to continue to review and provide any comments. And also, once we finalize the report, we will make sure that the city manager, the mayor, and all city council members receive a copy of the finalized report. And so the only action we need today after public comment is authorization from council to submit this report to HUD by the deadline. And that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Saeed. Thank you, your staff, and our wonderful citizens who help advise you as you get the work done for the people of Columbia. A post-report, are there any citizens online who may have comment or concerns or questions? Madam Clerk.
One moment, sir. Not at this time.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Brennan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Quick question for Ms. Saeed. The CDBG Public Service Activities page that you had a wonderful report on those groups. How do those groups report the use of those funds that we partner with them?
So they report the NOFA once they apply for the dollars. You know, we have workshops with them and provide them with the paperwork so that they can provide on a monthly information and accomplishments on a monthly basis to help us all keep up with it and track that data.
Do you feel that, how do you track the sustainability of their efforts? Because I know a lot of that has to do with, you know, our homeless population. Is there any way to track that?
Well, it's in terms of the sustainability. Ask your question again. I apologize.
Are we having success in helping our residents that are needing, whether it's homeless services, whether it's addiction services or mental health, to get them off the street through these programs? Is there any metric that we can actually track to make sure that the funds that we're spending and the leverage that we're using is truly successful in that outreach?
Yes, sir. I mean, the way that we're able to do it each year, when we award a organization, they tell us, you know, how many people that they are looking to assist on that particular given year, and usually they meet those thresholds.
Okay.
So
wonderful.
That's how we basically track it on an annual basis according to the number of people that they want to serve, and at the end of the year we're able to determine whether they were successful in doing that
Through their reporting. Okay. And one last quick question. If a resident's interested in some of those wonderful housing financial programs that we have, what website can we send them to, Ms. Saeed?
Okay, so they can go to the City of Columbia's website and go to community development, and they will see different folders there where they could get access to our programs, or they can go directly to columbiasc.gov/community-development, and they will see the information through that access as well.
Great. Thank you for preparing that report for us. Very informative.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Brennan, I was going to add to your question, which is very pertinent regarding, and I know you're probably getting at some of the outreach with our homeless services. Certainly, that in those track or provide and then track, they're probably tracked very well. we probably should look at the general fund dollars that the city is providing with the other service providers and a more stringent checking process there. Because I do think that while these services complement and the other work that we're doing and all of our providers are doing, the city is certainly, as we've discussed, and I hope we can get to this point in the new year, to have some more purposeful discussion about deliverables with those other providers. And maybe we need to look at this monthly tracking component or some other type of ability to track and really analyze the data, as you're saying, with the other providers that you all are funding.
I agree with you, Ms. Wilson. Thank you.
Mr. Davis?
I just had a comment kind of along the line of Will's question. I, over the years, have kind of measured the outcomes. For example, if we take a look at D. Albritton's program, Fast Forward, they do training on site, and they also participate in job placements. And I think their numbers are pretty good. And the program provides a mixture of benefits from my perspective to the community. Also in there, you see where individuals have the opportunity to participate in home ownership, and that says a lot. And it just adds to, it sort of fills some of the blanks where we don't have the dollars to contribute, or the city's role is somewhat limited. So I think it fills the gap. And as we move forward as a city, I think we should always remain on a full court press to get as many of those dollars as we can. Although, over the years, it's been sort of making the calls on that. But I think every opportunity we can use to increase those fundings coming back to the city, we ought to take advantage of it.
All right, thank you very much. If we have no other comments, can we get a motion authorize the city and community development department moving forward with the
Second.
Seconded, present this to HUD prior to the deadline. Any discussion? Seeing none, with the previous question, clerk call the roll.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. Rickman?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mr. Vaughn?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin?
Aye, thank you.
I'm sure Ms. Jenkins is on the line, Mayor Benjamin, for your period of appointments. There she is. Hello, Ms. Ashley. You have two committees today, the Food Policy Committee and the Riverbanks Park Commission.
All right. So thank you, Ashley. So we have two vacancies on food policy, is that right?
Yes.
We do.
All right. Did you have a motion, Mr. Duval?
I'd like to nominate Heather Bauer for one of the positions.
Ashley,
Yes, sir.
who are the applicants?
We have 7 applicants. We have John Loveday, Don Polite, Kimberly Humphrey, Rowan Goodrich, Billy Quinlan, Shayna Hill Cato, and Heather Bauer.
I do know that the Food Policy Committee did make some recommendations, fully support Kimberly Humphrey. I think they also supported Shayna Cato and Rowan Goodrich in that order. A very close vote supports those applicants. We are, as Mr. Duval's nomination suggested, this is a pretty good pool of candidates to pull from. Heather Bauer, I'd also like to support John Loveday as well. Apparently, Ms. Humphrey, the group feels very strongly about Ms. Humphrey's candidacy in particular because of the importance of strengthening the city and county relationship as well. So, so we have one nomination for Mr. Duval. Anything else I'm missing, Ms. Jenkins?
No, sir. Those are the 7 applicants, and those are the recommendations from the board. Yes, sir.
Remind me, max number of members. I mean, I just, this is one of those places, unlike a land use commission in which the parameters are set by statute. This is a place, if you got some really good people, this is not the place where you shut down the doors. I mean, you want as many good souls on here as possible, particularly if they bring some subject matter expertise and a willingness to use that on behalf of the community in general. So I would be curious as to what parameters we have to expand the Food Policy Committee as well, and not give ourselves some fictional parameters. Mr. McDowell.
Yes, Ashley, that was a question I think, Mr. Mayor, you were alluding to. I think you got a good group of folk there. What's the set number of folk that's presently on the Food Policy Committee?
So at the moment, the limitation was set to 15. And with filling these 2 vacancies, we would be back at 15. But my understanding when policy was initially created was kind of going with what the mayor was saying. We set a number. So it's one that can be changed because it's not bound by any state guidelines or laws or any specific positions by state guidelines or laws that have to be filled. If we decide to expand it, council decides to expand it, we can.
The number of persons that's presently looking at this position, how many are they?
It's 7 at the moment. Those are the people that applied within the deadline. So I'm sure with food policy, if we decided to re-advertise for an extended period of time, we would have even more.
Well, I think you got a good group of folk there. A lot of those folks I know. And it would certainly, if you've got 15 now as that standard number,
yes, sir.
And those persons who applied, you got 7 additional persons, right?
Yes, there are 7 additional people that have applied for the 2 vacancies. Mm-hmm.
And that does not give us, there's nothing in the state codes that would prevent us from upping that number. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, gee whiz. There are food deserts everywhere. Folk want to be on something that's going to provide some food instruments to our residents. I would certainly support taking those 7. Are those 7 persons? Have we vetted them pretty good, or what, Ashley?
There's not a bad option in the bunch as far as I know, Mr.
Good.
Mr. Davis, I'm sorry, you got your hand.
If I may, before Mr. McDowell completes his statement, do we know geographically where the seated people are now?
Yes, sir. So right now, the district representation, we have representation in all districts. So District 1, we have 1 person. District 2, we have 1. District 3, we have 5. District 4, we have 2. And then there's 2 additional people that are outside of the city limits or at large in the sense.
Okay. All right. The reason I asked is because we know the impact right now when it comes to people in need. Just want to make sure that everybody's covered. Every area is covered. And a number of the food organizations are sort of kind of popping up, taking the lead from some of the neighborhood organizations. And so I don't think it's competitive, but I think they probably could maybe learn something from the committee once it's up and showing its strength.
Yes, sir. I can share that.
Before I call on Mr. Duval, I did just have a very brief conversation with the chair of the Food Policy Committee, who indicated they actually could use more hands on deck. It would be a good idea to potentially expand the committee. Mr. Duval.
Mr. Mayor, I think we ought to expand the committee by putting Mr. Loveday and Heather Bauer and the 3 recommended by the committee for a total of 5 new additions, and letting them get on the committee and then evaluate whether we need more people on the committee.
The motion is to expand the Food Policy Committee.
So move.
And to add the 3 recommended by the committee and Mr. Loveday and Ms. Bauer, moved by Mr. Duval, second by Mr. McDowell. Move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
I think
Mr. Brennan?
Sorry, did Brennan have something? I apologize.
Yeah, I'm just for 7 people to apply and us to go with 5.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
we just need to go with the 7.
Who else? We had Mr. Polite, and who was the other?
Mr. Polite, hold on a second, and Quinlan.
Okay.
Can I ask, is Don still on the police one? I mean, he serves on something for us, and so Don Polite, he was serving. I don't know if he still is. I guess that would be the question, because we do still have the regulation that you can't serve on more than one.
Don served on Skip's advisory council, I believe, as well. So let's make sure.
Advisory council.
The way we've done things in the past is if you're appointed to a new position, you've automatically vacated your previous one. And I think the world of Mr. Polite too. I don't know. I'm not sure if I know Mr. Quinlan off the top of my head. Mr. McDowell.
Yes, I would amend Howard's motion to include the other 2 additional persons.
Ask him, Howard.
Yeah, and with the caveat again that if Mr. Polite's already serving in the other, we have service commission at a time that before he's removed, that we consult with him. So
I accept that amendment.
Move the previous question on 7 out. Clerk, call roll.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. Rickman?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Ms. Devine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin?
Aye. And if there's any formal action we need to take, Madam Clerk and maybe Teresa Knox could come back to us and let us know in terms of formally expanding the committee. The Riverbanks Park should be a lot simpler. I think we're the reappointment of Alana Odom Williams to a second term. I nominate her reappointment. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. We'll move the previous question. Clerk, call roll.
Mr. Brennan?
Aye.
Mr. Rickman?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Ms. Devine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin?
Aye. The clerk has shared with us and distributed widely the proposed meeting schedule for year 2021. We've had a chance to review it for the last couple of weeks. Is there a motion that we approve the meeting schedule?
So move.
The second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move the previous question. Clerk, call roll.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. Rickman?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Ms. Devine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin?
Aye. Thank you very much. Any committee reports or referrals? Mr. Duval.
Mr. Mayor, this is not a referral. I would just like to tell the council that I hope maybe all of you received in the mail a couple of weeks ago from the Human Rights Commission a report on the City of Columbia's Municipal Equality Index scorecard. It's a 2-pager that has different areas that are scored on equality. I have talked this over with a couple of my friends in the LGBTQ community, and they both, I think, and they agree that we didn't get credit for several of the things that we have accomplished with the City of Columbia. And I'd like permission from the council to have an ad hoc committee on equality look at this and kind of review that to see if we can either meet these standards or at least talk about the standards set by this scorecard and get credit for what we have done.
No, thank you so much, Ms. Devine. I usually dialogue pretty robustly on the MEI index as well as the city manager. Ms. Devine, you want to say something first?
Yeah, no, I would say I wholeheartedly agree, Mr. DeVolve, actually, and we can kind of get together. I've already reached out to a few folks who are willing, that have some legal background, some employment background, that are willing to sit in an advisory role to help us with that.
Okay.
So if you would, if you'd be willing, I can sit down with you and we can maybe come up with some ideas of some folks and work on that. But I agree with you. I think there are certain things that are not within, that we didn't get credit for, that we probably should. And then there's also some things that we can do that would give us some extra bonus points.
Very good. I'll be in touch with you.
Sure, Mr. Davis.
Yeah, I'd like to be included because, memory does recall that we did, we made some substantial moves in the past. And you're right, Howard, if we're not, I glanced at it and it didn't seem right to me either. So.
I think Mayor Benjamin and council too, and we can't blame everything on COVID, but certainly there's been some lapses with communications with other agencies and us getting back. And I do know, and I've already sent a message to Ms. Benjamin, so I would ask that she be able to work with you all and our designees that on staff, that we have to show that we're looking at these things all the time. But every year there's a period of time where they send you the scorecard, we review it, and then you can submit. I just don't recall getting that opportunity.
By the time I sent it back to you via snail mail after issues with the post office, Teresa, it literally been months. That we have it very quickly. There was a period a few years ago where we had the highest score in the Carolinas and second in the tri-state area, only to Atlanta.
Yes.
Something we take a point of personal pride in. And I agree, Mr. Duval, we don't get credit for the things that we have done, but I will tell you, just over the last 4 or 5 years, the standards and how you're rated is gotten so much more detailed and diverse, just recognizing the shifting stances on how we truly recognize equity and equality and the strength of this community. So I couldn't agree more. Our score does not reflect the richness of this community. So was the motion to have a ad hoc committee that might be populated by those that Ms. Devine's already working with, Mr. Davis and maybe Mr. Duval, maybe the three of you serving as the council representatives, populated with the rest to bring back to us some definitive actions. So I'm not even sure if we have a designated liaison. I mean, we had Jared and we had Justin, and they've both since left the city. So I'm not sure if we have a liaison designated right now.
We do. And so I wanted to make sure again that we include them and just to make sure. I mean, I think you all are right. There are things that we need to make sure we're getting credit for. I think there were things that were just missed in translation because they were on there before, but they're not showing there now. So I think we'll get it all figured out. And I would love the help from the council members, Mayor.
Okay. Mayor, you want to restate what you said, because I think it's pretty good. You're going to turn it over to me and Tamika and Sam.
The three of you.
We'll come back with a report.
Sure, an ad hoc committee to address the municipal equality index, I think is and finding ways in which we can perform well on that score in a way that reflects the strength and vitality of the city. We can pull in as many members of the community as council deems necessary. Please send your recommendations to the city manager, including the group of citizens Devine's already working with. All right, and we're gonna get back with us. I know we got some trigger dates in 2021, so I think if we can get back together with some recommendations and action items by the first quarter, we should be in good shape.
Very good.
All right, that's a motion.
Look, I'm sorry.
Please. All right, moved by me and second by Mr. Davis. Mr. McDowell.
No, I was going to announce, just make an announcement. That's all.
You want us to vote on this first, and then okay.
Yes.
Move the previous question. Clerk, call a roll.
Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickerman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Devine,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye. Mr. McDowell.
Yes,
Thank
just a word, Mr. Mayor. On the 17th, and I think that's Thursday, the administrative committee will meet. That's inclusive of Howard and Sam.
Okay. All right.
I think it's at 2:00.
Okay.
Yes,
Good
sir.
one. Yeah. All right, thank you.
And at economic and community
Development.
as well, right?
We'll meet at one meets at what, 10?
We meet
The
at
other
2,
at-
you meet at 10.
Yeah.
All right. Good deal. Any other reports or referrals? All right. Good deal. Any public input or anyone signed up, Madam Clerk, to share some thoughts?
We have 3 callers on the line. If you would like to address City Council at this time, please press *3 to join the speaker queue. We have 1 caller in the process of joining the speaker queue, Mayor.
All right. Thank you. Please state your name and you have a few minutes to address council.
Okay, Mayor, we see that we have a caller attempting to connect. You just bear with us for a few seconds. Okay, I will add the caller to the meeting now.
Thank you, ma'am.
Animal Services. Thank you all for your time and the opportunity to speak as one of the over 800 concerned foster parents, volunteers, and supporters of Columbia Animal Services. My name is Eleanor Davis, and many of you know me from my work with the Lion Street community and South Carolina Women's Initiative. Also as a Richland County poll worker and a PhD candidate at the University of South Carolina. You know that I am a dedicated, passionate advocate for Columbia and work tirelessly to support the city. For the last 9 months, I have volunteered as a foster parent for the shelter, nursing sick kittens back to health and celebrating their eventual adoptions. This foster program has saved thousands of lives since its inception, and along with the Trap Neuter Return Program, we're both moving Columbia towards its 2013 goal of becoming a no-kill shelter, following the lead of our sister cities, Charleston and Greenville. This progress will not continue without the hiring of 2 crucial positions. First, it has been almost 2 years since the shelter had a full-time vet. Without a full-time veterinarian, the no-kill goal is simply impossible. The release vets at the shelter are only available once a week, and this has led to a backlog of pets waiting to be spayed or neutered and adopted. It has also led to a dependence on other rescues for trap, neuter, return support. While there is a shortage of vets across the state, we have an advantage. We are a growing, vibrant city of young professionals, a group that owns the most pets out of any generation. I strongly believe that with creative collaboration between Columbia Animal Services, Public Works, the City Council, and the Animal Mission, and hundreds of passionate supporters, the city can attract a full-time vet. The second position that needs to be filled is another foster coordinator. The coordinator position is incredibly demanding, with volunteers and animals requiring 24/7 support. Most local shelters and rescues have multiple coordinators to support more foster placements and avoid high employee turnover. A new foster coordinator will start at the end of December, but a second coordinator is desperately needed before peak kitten and puppy season. In 2013, Mayor Benjamin, you expressed your strong support for the shelter becoming a no-kill community. You wanted to know what was needed from City Council to continue this progress. This is what is needed. We need your prompt action to convene relevant stakeholders and find a solution to fund and hire a full-time veterinarian and second foster coordinator. I know it has been a hard year.
Please continue. Please continue.
Okay. I know it has been a hard year. We have all lost so much, and the hardships will likely continue. But I ask you to listen to the 800 plus supporters of this petition. It is time to take action, work together, and save lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you so much for your dedication, not just to the animal shelter, but to all the different formal and informal pillars that support this great community. And I think I also received your communique. I know that you've been dialoguing with staff and city manager. It's been on top of this as well. So look forward to that continued dialogue and some action. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone else signed up?
No other callers have joined the queue at this time, Mayor.
Super. All right. Thank you so much, man. All right. Mr. Duval?
Mr. Mayor, I move we go into executive session for receipt of legal advice related to matters covered by attorney-client privilege pursuant to 30-4-70A2 COVID-19 AMI water meter installation, receipt of legal advice relating to a pending, threatened, or potential claim pursuant to 30-470A, Michael Hughes, that might be Michelle Hughes, as personal representative for the state of Michelle Stallmaker versus City of Columbia et al. Discussion of negotiations, instance proposed contractual arrangements pursuant to 30-4-70A2, Bright Up, Saluda River Greenway federal funding, discussion of employment of an employee pursuant to 30-4-70A1, hospitality, and discussion of matters related to proposed location or expansion of services to encourage location or expansion of industries or other businesses pursuant to 30-4-70A2, absolute total care.
Is there a second?
Second.
In discussion? With the previous question, the clerk call the roll.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. Rickerman?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mr. Vine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin?
Aye. Thank you, Madam Clerk, and the whole team, and thank you to the citizens who tuned in. We're going to continue getting the work done on some of the items that require executive session attention from council. God bless you.